Jackson in the key. Kick out. Davenport.
A steal for Kentucky. Ahead to Reeves. Left wing three. Got it.
Jackson weaves. A dunk. Bounces off to Adu and he slams it home.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Student Section. This video, I am, as you can tell by the title, I'm doing a tier list ranking of the remaining 16 seeds, or the 16 teams in the 2025 Men's March Madness. As you can tell, it's a little late. I think the time of recording, it's 12:58. So, sorry, I moved the camera. It's decently late. Sorry, I'm moving the camera around a lot. Hopefully I didn't mess anything up with framing. It should be good. Hopefully I'm not diagonal. If not, sucks. It's going to be like this the whole video. Anyways, like I said, it is late. It's 12:58. That rhymed. So ignore my bed. It's a mess back there. Even if I might look tired myself, I'm locked in for this video. I did this video last year too. Obviously different teams now, different bracket. Actually, teams are very different than last year. I love it. Some are still the same, but for the most part, teams are pretty much different. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna get right into it. There's not much point. Ignore that. Sorry, I'm messing with my setup at the middle of this. No point in trying to drag it out. So obviously no top 5. This is not any. Basically, if it's not SEC content, I'm not doing the top 5. And for those of you who don't know, top 5 is just top 5 plays of the week. So with that being said, we're just getting straight into the content. Starting off, and once again, this bottom list where all the logos are, this is no particular order. It's just whatever order they loaded in, basically. Starting off with Texas Tech. This is an interesting team. I have just a few things I want to say about them. So as of late, Texas Tech, they have been pretty good just in terms of offensive efficiency, right? They're like, I can't remember exactly. I think they're like I know for a fact they're top 5 in turnover percentage offensively. So they don't turn the ball over. And then I know their offense is like one of the top in terms of like efficiency, like adjusted efficiency. But field goal efficiency, I remember, is not very good. It's like towards the middle of like all of basketball. They don't really get to the line that much. They don't force up any free. Sorry if I keep looking back and forth. The tier list is over here. My notes are over here. They don't really force free throws that much. They're towards the bottom half of the league. Obviously, they're not at the bottom of the league, but they are towards the bottom half. They're not incredible three-point shooters. They're not incredible free throw shooters, and they're really not the most efficient from the floor. So in terms of overall efficiency, not the greatest, but whenever you look at adjusted efficiency, they are towards the top with that. Their defense is usually where they're going to hang their hat. So they're a good balanced team, more on the defensive end. For those of you who haven't been watching Texas Tech, do I have any exact numbers? No. I mean, in my notes, it basically just says teams don't shoot the best against them, meaning they're not going to be the greatest. They're not going to be a lockdown defensive team. They're not going to be as good as like a Houston. They're not going to be as good as Tennessee's another good defensive team up here. They're not going to be on that level of defense. They're still a pretty good defense. One thing that really scares me is that they do not force turnovers. Defensively, they are 333rd in turnover percentage in terms of defense. So they're not really forcing teams to turn the ball over. Their three-point defense in terms of the other team's percentage is pretty decent. It's at a 30.3%. Which I have noted is 50th in the league. And this is based off their last 10 games, of course. So overall, a pretty well-rounded team. They're not the most efficient on offense, and they're pretty good on defense. For Texas Tech, I'm going to put them in the could put up a fight category. They are matched up against Arkansas, which is my team. So I'm trying not to be biased about this, but I'm imagining this without Arkansas throughout the picture. So let's say they do beat Arkansas. Any team they play next, which is probably going to be Florida, but if for some reason, who's Florida playing? They are playing, they're playing Maryland. If for some reason Maryland upsets Florida, I still think they're going to struggle against really any other team. I'm going to talk about Arkansas in a second, but I feel like, Arkansas or Ole Miss is probably one of the easiest bids that people think you could get. But any other team than that, I think they struggle against a lot of other teams. So that is Texas Tech, the first team. Moving on to Alabama. I don't really have any stats pulled up for Alabama just because I don't need to pull up stats to tell you this. Most people already know this. Alabama has a super high power offense, super high pace offense. They put up a lot of threes. They're like the 2018 Rockets, where they only shoot threes and they only shoot layups and they try to draw fouls. Spearheaded by one of the best players in the conference, not even in the entire college basketball, with Mark Sears. They have a really good supporting cast. They have a really good freshman in LeBaron Filan. He was an SC Freshman of the Year. They have a good bench piece with Aiden Holloway. I really like this Alabama team. The only thing that really, really scares me, I'm actually going to pull up stats just so I can kind of prove my point. But like I've already mentioned, really elite offense. The only thing that scares me is their defense. They cannot guard anything, like, at all. Their defense is horrendous. Over their last 10 games, over the last 10 games, their defense hasn't been as bad as the whole year. In terms of 2-point percentage, they are 60%, which is 4th in the entire league. 37% from 3, which is 55th. So they're towards the top half of the league. Effective field goal percentage, they are 10th in the entire league. And then you get into defense, that's whenever it's really bad. Turnover percentage is at 327. So they force a little more turnovers than Texas Tech does. Offensive rebounding percentage for the other team on defense. That's a weird stat to say. We'll say free throw. Okay, that doesn't even really matter either. Just in terms of overall defense, they score a lot, but they also let you score a lot. I'm going to put Alabama in the real threat category, just because if they get like a couple game stretch of them going hot, I really don't think anybody can beat them. Because in order to keep up with Alabama, you either have to really slow them down, which is really hard, or you're going to have to keep up with that high-pace offense. So that's something that's just really tough to do, which is why I put them in that real threat category. Moving on to their matchup, which is actually BYU. I really, really like this matchup because they both play very similarly. I'm trying to pull up the stats for BYU. Birmingham. Where is Birmingham at? Is it? Hold on. This is crazy. Have I been pronouncing their... No, that's... Why can I not find them? Hold on. I'm going to cut this. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have BYU stats pulled up. So I mentioned with Alabama that I think they were 10th in adjusted efficiency and 3rd in overall effective field goal percentage. BYU's flipped. They're 2nd in adjusted efficiency, and then they are 12th in effective field goal percentage. Once again, with all these stats, I'm using their last 10 games because I feel like that's the most relevant in terms of this tournament. They're also up there with Alabama in terms of 3-point percentage, 2-point percentage. So offensively, they're actually very similar. The only thing I don't like about BYU is that they don't have a guy like Mark Sears offensively. So if their system really isn't working, if they're not getting the shots to fall, they don't have a guy like Mark Sears who they can rely on to get a bucket. Defensively, though, they're still not the best defensive team, but they are higher on a lot of those defensive stats than Alabama was. Their 3-point defense is better. Their 2-point defense is better. Defensive field goal percentage is going to be better. Adjusted effective defensive field goal percentage. That's a mouthful. They're better. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. They don't have that high star power, but their defense is a little bit better. I really like BYU. I'm gonna put them in the don't sleep category. I could see them being in that real threat, but they are in that don't sleep just because they don't have that top guy that Alabama does have, and just the lackluster defense is not going to help them either. Moving on to Tennessee. This team is very similar to Houston, which I'm obviously going to talk about later, just because very high-powered defense, pretty much the opposite of Alabama. Really high-powered defense, really, we'll just say lackluster offense. But over the last 10 games, how many? Can I see like the total amount of points they put up? I wonder if I can pull up total points. I can see points per possession. We'll do points per possession. They're kind of in the middle of that range. I can't see an actual thing to tell me how many points per game they put up, which I can usually just look up pretty easily. I don't know why it's not showing up right now. anyways, like I said, really good defense. Although over the last few games, their defensive turnover percentage has been like towards the bottom of the league, and their offensive rebounding or defensive. But I'm just gonna say defensive rebounding percentage. It is a little bit different. Defensive, offensive. I don't know. Anyways, they're towards the bottom of the league as well. They allow 34 offensive rebounds, which is something that they haven't really been doing all year, but for some reason they got into recently. 3-point percentage is very high, 22nd in the league. But their defensive stats have taken a little bit of a fall. I still like to follow the eye test. They're a really good defensive team. Rick Barnes is a really good defensive coach. They just lack that offensive production. They do have a guy like Chaz Lanier who they pretty much rely on for a lot of their offensive spark. Same way with Dalton Knecht last year. I do like Sakai Ziegler at the attack. He is 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. I don't agree with that. If you want to know why, look at my most recent video. I think it's titled like SEC Awards This Year Suck or something like that. But Tennessee does get to the line. They are 8th in the entire league in getting to the free throw line. They shoot, 44 3-pointers per game? Or free throws? Is that what that is? Free throw rate? I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's insane. That can't be real. But yeah, they get to the line a lot. Not the most efficient team, but they're not terrible either. They're not like down in the dumps. There are times though watching this team where their offense gets really stagnant and it's kind of hard to watch. I don't know where to put Tennessee because they are a 2 seed. I don't think they're a good 2 seed in my opinion. I really don't think they're a real threat to win the championship just because of their offense. It just lacks, like, it's just not very. It's lackluster in my opinion. I'm gonna put them. This is gonna be crazy. I'm gonna put them and could put up a fight. It's like I know defense wins championships, but you have to be able to score as well. And there's a lot of really high octane offenses that could really put them in jeopardy this year. So that is Tennessee. Moving on to Arizona. I really like Arizona. I think in my bracket I had them going to the Final Four. I think. I don't remember who I had them losing to. I know for a fact I had them in the Final Four though. In terms of offense, they're so far statistically the best offensive team we've gone over, including teams like Alabama and BYU. They're 4th in adjusted efficiency. They are 34th in effective field goal percentage. And once again, these are over the last 10 games. 39th in offensive rebounding percentage. 64th in free throw rates. 25th 3-point percentage. 33rd free throw percentage. Really good offensive team. Defense is where it slips. We've only really had one balanced team so far. I mean, we're going to get some more balanced teams here in a second. Obviously, there's a lot more teams to go over. But you look at turnover percentage, they are 337. So that's kind of been a theme between Alabama, BYU, and Arizona so far. They do not turn the ball over at all. Teams don't turn the ball over against them. It's just really that simple. Effective field goal percentage, 211th in all of college basketball. 156 in offensive rebounding percentage on the defensive end. It's still a confusing stat. Basically just defensive rebounding percentage. Kind of is what that relates to, not necessarily. They are 337th in defensive 3-point percentage. So whenever teams are playing against them, they shoot 39% from 3 against this Arizona team. That is really scary, especially with some of these teams on here that like to shoot the 3. That could really, really kill them. Other than that, their block percentage is 26th in the league. 2-point percentage, 65th in the league. So they're a really good paint and like inside the arc team. But once you get on that 3, teams can really light it up and really kill them from there. Let's see. They did end up losing to Houston, and I'm guessing that was probably in their conference tournament. Is it? This is game score. That can't be right. Yeah, that's conference tournament. I forgot. It's so weird to me that they're in the same conference. I guess. I mean, it makes sense. Shout out to the Big 12. I do want to talk about it is a little sad that there are no like real Cinderellas. My Arkansas team is the Cinderella, basically us and Ole Miss, just because of our rating. And 7 SEC teams, only 4 conferences are brought in, and it's all of the Power 4 conferences are the only ones that are represented here. It has been a little bit of a more boring year. Not boring, because they're having really good games. Shout out Colorado State. I really like Colorado State. If you see my short, the short I uploaded. Enough ranting about this, but everyone's kind of already talked about this. I'm gonna put Arizona and could put up a fight. I really like Arizona. Like I said, I had them going to the Final Four. that 3-point percentage is just dead. Like, it's so detrimental, especially compared to some of these teams that they're going to face. I'm just going to say they could put up a fight. Moving on to Kentucky. Where do I start with Kentucky? Very similar to Alabama. The only difference is they don't have a top 10 scorer in the league. I know they like to say Otega Owe is a good scorer. Otega Owe is a good scorer, but he's not up there as an elite scorer type guy. 12th in adjusted efficiency, 22nd in effective field goal, 32nd in turnover percentage. They're not going to turn the ball over. 26th in 3-point percentage. They're shooting 37% from the field or from 3-point percentage. 34th in 2-point percentage. Really good team. Just their defense is like, if you watch this team, they can't defend anything. Once again, another team that doesn't force turnovers. Their 2-point percentage is atrocious. They have really poor rim protection, which is really weird with a guy like Amari Williams. But other than him, Andrew Carr is kind of up there with defensive rim protection. But really, other than Amari Williams, if you're able to get him away from the rim, you're scoring at ease at the rim. Their 3-point percentage is pretty good. They're going to run you off the line, which is where you're going to get a lot of layups. That's kind of the one flaw with this team. They won't let you get threes, but they're gonna happily let you run to the rim and get a wide open layup. Other than that, that's kind of all I can really say about this team. They just lack that top tier type of guy. I'm going to put Kentucky. This is tough. Because it's just hard to be a top, it's hard to win a championship if you don't have a top 5 player in all of college basketball and you don't play defense. It's really hard. I'm going to pause. That was a crazy soundbite right there. I'm going to put them in, could put up a fight. So far we got 4 teams in this category. I'm hoping it kind of changes. We'll see. Moving on to Arkansas. I don't have stats because this is my team. I really don't like to look at stats on my own team, but I'm going to do it right now. Over their last 10. Oh, those Kentucky stats I was looking at was from their all season long. Those were not their last 10 game stats. Let me just check to see if anything really changes. Their offensive rebounding percentage is horrendous, 312th in all of college basketball. 2-point percentage on defense is 336. So their stats are actually worse. Okay, that's something to note. Their 3-point percentage is much lower now. It's at 89%. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping them in this. Could put up a fight. I would put them in just happy to be here. Honestly, their stats over their last 10 games look really, really, really bad. They haven't really played any good teams yet. Troy's a decent team. Illinois is a decent team, but they cannot shoot. Illinois has been struggling recently to shoot. Their defense did look pretty good against Illinois. I don't think it's fair to put them in just happy to be here. Because I think they're better than that. Stats do not show that. They're an interesting team. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I just don't want to put them in just happy to be here and upset their fan base because, I don't know though. Looking at their stats, I would say they're just happy to be here. Their stats just are not good. I mean, their shooting percentages are much lower than they've been all season. Like I said, they can't defend anybody, which is weird because they looked pretty good against Illinois. But other than that, they can't defend anybody. They're playing Tennessee, which is going to be just an absolute rock fight. I'm going to put them in just happy to be here, which is really crazy to say, especially since they're the 3 seed. I just don't like the stats. Okay, going back to Arkansas. Sorry, that was a weird switch with Kentucky. Going back to Arkansas. If it'll... There we go. Okay, sorry, that was being weird on me. Arkansas, they're a pretty good offensive team. This is one of those teams that is really well balanced, in my opinion. They're not going to be the craziest 3-point shooting team. They're towards the bottom of the league at 248th in 3-point percentage. But they get to the rim. They don't get blocked at the rim, and they shoot pretty good. They miss a lot of layups, but good mid-range team with a guy like John L. Davis, Carter Knox, Boogie Flame, DJ Wagner, Adu Thero, Jonas Adu. Really good mid-range game. Really good at getting to the rim. And their defense is elite. They're 7th in block percentage on the defensive end. 55th in 2-point percentage, 60th. Oh, this is their all-time stats. Their last 10 games, their stats are going to look a lot better. Free throw percentage, they're not making their free throws, and they're even worse at shooting from the three. Their 3-point percentage offensively is even worse, but their defensive stats are much better. They get to the free throw line a lot. They're shooting a decent percentage once they get there. This Arkansas team, I'm an Arkansas fan, so keep this in mind. I could be biased. This Arkansas team has not been playing like a 10 seed. That's why I said they are technically, like, by technicality, they are the Cinderella because they're the lowest seed, but they are really, really, really good. Like, they're 1 through 9 if they get a Duke Thero back. They're all, like, just star players, really, really good. I like what we've been getting out of Billy Richmond. I like what Carter Knox has been doing these past couple games. An absolute free throw merchant, but I love watching him do it. Okay, this is going to look really crazy in comparison to Kentucky's. Oh, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to put them in the don't sleep only because they are the 10 seed. People look at them and see the 10 seed and they're like, oh, they're not very good. I feel like this list is relative to, like, your seeding, the way you're performing. The way Kentucky's been performing, I would say they are just happy to be here, considering they are a 3 seed. So Kentucky fans, I'm not saying Kentucky is just worse than Arkansas. I'm not saying they're worse than all these teams. It's based off of expectations, seeding, and situation. So Arkansas, don't sleep, because you see a 10 seed, you might think that they're kind of bad, but they really are. They're a really good team. With that being said, next team we have here is Houston, the University of Houston. Let me pull up their stats as well, since I've been using stats for everybody else. Houston, number 1 defensive adjusted efficiency, number 4 effective field goal percentage on the defensive end, 17th in defensive turnover percentage, 24th in 3-point defensive percentage, 5th in 2-point percentage on the defensive end, and 5th in block percentage on the defensive end. Absolute defensive unit. They're like Tennessee, but on crack. And their offensive numbers are, their offensive numbers are looking really good. If I pull up their last 10, because I forgot to do that with this as well, stats pretty much stay the same. Their free throw percentage, which you can't really control how well another team shoots free throws. That stat doesn't really matter. Their offensive stats are honestly pretty good. They're much better than Tennessee. Once again, like, very similar to Kentucky, they don't have that, like, star player on their team that you can be like, all right, go get us a bucket. They're 313th from 2-point percentage, but they're 12th from 3-point percentage over their last 10. I'm going to put Houston in potential champion. Absolute defensive juggernaut, and their offense has been stepped up really good in their last 10 games. They've looked really good offensively. Not really good, but they've looked better than you'd expect a Houston team to look. I'm going to put them in potential champion. Moving on to the next team, we do have Purdue. Purdue offensively, their stats are pretty decent. They're 9th in 3-point percentage, shooting 41%. They are 8th in adjusted efficiency on the offensive end, 31st in effective field goal percentage, and 66th. That's kind of where the good stats end. They're 343rd on defensive efficiency, 330th on turnover percentage. So just like that Alabama, just like BYU, they're not going to turn you over. And teams shoot really good against them. 107th in 3-point percentage on the defensive end, and they're 363rd on 2-point defense. That might be the worst I've seen, like, in a long time. And 363rd in block percentage. Is that the lowest out of 364? So there's only one team that is worse than them in those two stats. This team is just happy to be here. They lost Zach Edey. This has been a really weird year for them. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I don't know how they got this far. Honestly, based off the eye test, if this team didn't have the 4th seed, this is a Cinderella team in my opinion. I don't know how they made it this far. Once again, this team is just happy to be here. Who are they even playing? They're playing. Are they playing Michigan State? Who are they playing? Are they playing? I don't know. Let me pull it up real quick. Who are they playing? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't think they're gonna win whoever they're playing, or they're not gonna beat whoever they're playing. Screen's gonna get dark for a second. Just pardon me for a second. I gotta pull this up because this is kind of upsetting me. I don't remember who they're playing. Purdue. Which side of the bracket are they on? They're playing Houston. Yeah, they're not winning that game. It's that simple. They're happy to be here. Moving on to the next team, we have Auburn. And for the longest time, I'd say for 90% of this year's regular season, they have been easily the number 1 seed, number 1 team in the entire league. As of late, they have been slipping up. If I pull up their last 10 stats, they are 7-3 in their last 10, which is a little deceiving because they're in their last 6, they're 3 of 3. So before that, they have been slipping up offensively. They're still up. They're not as good as they once were. At one point, they were historically good at offensively. All their offensive stats still look pretty good. The 3-point percentage has dipped quite a bit. They're 162nd in the entire college basketball, so they're kind of right in the middle. At one point, they were shooting really good. They're still not there anymore. 2-point percentage is 44th. Block percentage is 45th offensively, which means they don't get blocked a lot. Free throw rating is 49, so they get to the free throw line pretty good. They're in the top third of the entire league. Turnover percentage is 42nd, top third as well, so they don't really turn it over that much. Effective field goal percentage is 66, so pretty efficient, 54%. Defensive stat, they put teams to the free throw line a lot. They foul a lot. Their 2-point percentage is 237th, but their 3-point percentage is 28. So defensively, they're very similar to a Kentucky team. They do have Janai Broome down there. I do like a guy like Dylan Cardwell more defensively. I do like Denver Jones more defensively. Shout out to Bruce Pearl. They struggled a lot against Alabama State, and they struggled a lot. I mean, against Creighton, they still won pretty well, but I don't know. This team is trending the wrong direction right now. I'm going to put them in a real threat. I don't think they're a potential champion as of right now. Now, I'm not ignoring the fact that they've been like the number 1 team in all of college basketball pretty much all year long, but the way they're playing right now, they play down to their competition. They like to mess around. They do silly stuff, throw alley-oops off the backboard and miss it because it's a very arrogant team, which can be a good thing, but like a guy like Chad Baker-Mazara, Janai Broome, it's going to be a very arrogant, showboaty team. They do a whole bunch of celebrating. They do a lot of emotes. Their emote wheel is this big. They definitely have stretches where they don't play serious basketball, and that's the biggest detriment if you ask me. A guy like Chad Baker-Mazara is so emotionally driven that he puts him in a lot of bad situations because he's being dumb and getting them technical fouls. That's the reason they lost to Yale last year. They lost the game recently like that. I think it was Tennessee maybe that they lost, or maybe it was the Alabama game. I don't remember, but I remember he had gotten a pretty bad technical, just doing dumb stuff. Auburn has definitely been slipping as of late. Moving on to the next team on the list, we have Duke. This team, statistically, they are amazing. Number 1 in adjusted efficiency. This is offensively. Number 3 in offensive field goal percentage. Number 6, they're 16th in offensive turnover percentage. They're not turning the ball over. 47th in offensive rebounding percentage. They are 17th 3-point percentage shooting team, 5th in 2-point percentage offensively, and 16th in free throw percentage. And you look at the defensive end, they're 4th in adjusted efficiency, number 1 effective field goal percentage defensively. Let me pull up their last 10 stats. Once again, I'm reading their all-time stats. Still very similar. Number 1 defensive team in terms of efficiency. 9th in opponent free throw percent or 3-point percentage. Teams only shoot 27% from 3 against this team. This team is lethal. This team is a problem. Unfortunately, I did have Arizona upsetting them. It's still possible. I mean, it's still kind of there. 20th defensive 2-point percentage. Teams only shoot 45% against them, and they're 53rd in block percentage on the defensive end. This team is really, really good. They have the best player in college basketball in Cooper Flagg, and he's only a freshman. I like what you get. It's just this team is really, really, really good, and part of me just wants to disagree with the hype because they are Duke, but you cannot argue with these stats. 33-3 overall record, 19-1 in the ACC, which is a decent conference. This Duke team is lethal. Moving on to the next team, we have Ole Miss, which is just going to be under Mississippi. Where are they at? Yep, okay. Ole Miss. Over their last 10 games, there's some scary things. Their defense has been horrendous. This is another team that has a horrendous defense. Effective field goal percentage on the defensive end, 317th in all of college basketball, 331st in defensive free throw rate. So they're putting teams to the line a lot. Just like Auburn, they foul a lot. 2-point percentage, 344th. Teams are elite shooting at them, shooting against them around the rim in the mid range. 211th three-point defense, and then 317th block percentage. Now, I do like Malik Dia. I like Sean Padula. Offensively, they are 40th in turnover percentage, so they don't really turn the ball over. They were kind of known for that all season, but they've been kind of worse. There aren't really any offensive stats that stand out. They're 211th in field goal percentage, 213th in three-point percentage, 185th in two-point percentage, 109th in free throw percentage, and 271st in block percentage. So they get blocked a lot. Not a very big team. They're another team that I would consider them a Cinderella. I'm going to put them in just happy to be here. You can't even tell. The whole logo is blocked out. That's Ole Miss. I promise that's Ole Miss's logo. They're also just a team. They're a team that's just happy to be here. I'm going to move Kentucky out. Sorry, I changed my mind. I'm moving Kentucky out again. They are just happy to be here, Ole Miss. It's just a good team, yes. But it's just over the last 10 games, their stats just aren't really there. Shout out to Sean Medola. Shout out to Malik Dia. Moving on to Florida. This one, I mean, in my opinion, this is the best team in college basketball right now. They've been like that recently. They have the size. They have plenty of big men. They offensive rebound. And guess what? All their big men can run the floor. All their big men can play make out of the high post. All their big men can play make out of the low post, the dunker spot. This offense is super free-flowing. Shout out to the Golden Gooner, if you know what I'm talking about. Shout out you. The Golden Gooner is their coach. I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to look up why he's called the Golden Gooner, go ahead, be my guest. They have a dog in Walter Clayton Jr. He's just an elite shot maker. This is one of those guys I'm talking about that is a top 5 player in college basketball. They have the size. I love what Elijah Martin gives you defensively. In my opinion, they have the best backcourt. They have the best. I mean, if you look at all 3 of their guards, best backcourt in the country, undoubtedly. They have the defense. They have the size. The only thing that they really struggle with is going to be their free throw shooting. Over the last 10 games, they are 195th. But really, other than that, they're really good. They don't turn teams over, and they foul a little too much, a little more than you would like. Offensive rebounding, they're the second best rebounding team in the entire country. They get 41. Well, this is their percentage. They get 41% of their shots are are rebounded. So they rebound 41% of their misses. That's insane. They're 26th in 2-point percentage, 45th in offensive block percentage. So they don't get blocked a lot. I really, really like this team. This team is really elite, really lethal. They are potential champions, in my opinion. Moving on to our final 3 teams. They are all M teams. I don't know how that happened. But we do have up first, trying to find them, sorry. We have Maryland. Shout out to the Crab 5. I really like this team. The one thing that really scares me about this team is just their depth. If they get put into foul trouble, it's kind of wraps from there. But you look at all their defensive categories, they're pretty much all green except for free throw percentage, which once again, you can't control how good a team shoots against you from the free throw line. And another thing they've been struggling with is their 2-point percentage. They're 310th in the entire league in 2-point percentage. But other than that, all their other stats look really good. They don't turn the ball over. They do turn other teams over. Teams don't shoot very well against them. I really like this team. I'm going to put them in a real threat. The only thing like I already mentioned, foul trouble and the depth of their team. That really scares me with this Maryland team. Other than that, they look really good. Shout out to the Crab 5. And then the next M team we have is Michigan State. Where is Michigan State? Michigan. Where's Michigan State at? Because I see Michigan. Oh, Michigan State. There we go. Okay. Over their last 10 games for Michigan State. Let's see. I mean, pretty good numbers. They don't really have any categories in the red. Their free throw percentage is pretty low at 270th. They don't defend two-pointers very well. Defensive 2-point percentage is at 53.8%, which is 267th in all of college basketball. But they do not allow teams to offensive rebound. They are third at denying offensive rebounds. They are third in adjusted efficiency on the defensive end, 33rd in efficiency on the defensive end. On the offensive end is a little bit of a different story. Field goal percentage is 207th in the entire league. And their offense just really isn't there. 257th on the 2-point percentage, 119th 3-point percentage. They struggle. I mean, they don't really. Their offense isn't terrible. Their defense is pretty good. I would say they're elite. They're not as elite as a team like Houston. They're not as elite as Tennessee, but they are elite. I'm going to slide them in that don't sleep category. They are a 2 seed. So, I mean, they're pretty good as well. They're just, I don't think they don't live up to that hype of a 2 seed, in my personal humble opinion. Just elite ball knowledge is what I have. So you can't really argue with what I say because I know more than you. Just kidding. That obviously I'm joking. Next team we have Michigan, a 5 seed, one of the lower seeds left in this bracket. Their offense is just, this team is they've been struggling as of late. I will admit that. It's just like their last 4 games actually have been really good. I will say that, really good last 4 games. But other than that, they have been struggling, especially in conference play. Being in the Big Ten, they turn the ball over, or they don't turn the ball over. They don't make the other team turn the ball over, and they turn the ball over a lot their own. They are 300 in 300 in effective field goal percentage. That was really hard for me to get. And they're 359th in 3-point percentage. They're not shooting the ball very well. 103rd in 2-point percentage. Their block percentage is really low considering that they have 2 really good big men. I mean, their effective field goal percentage on the defensive end is 6th in the entire league, 10th in adjusted efficiency on the defensive end. They struggle. I do like their matchup against Auburn just because of the 2 big men. They can really slow down Jani Broome and Dylan Cardwell. Auburn does like to throw a lot of they do like a lot of backdoor lobs. They like a lot of low post action. I think Michigan can slow that down, so I'm going to put them in the could put up a fight category. Statistically, they are not very good, but I do like their matchup with Auburn. I could see them knocking off Auburn. I think in my bracket, I did officially pick them. I wish I would have uploaded a full bracket video, but my bracket's not very good, so it doesn't really matter. I could see them potentially threatening Auburn, especially with the way they've been playing recently. But that is all of my teams I wanted to mention. This is the tier list. It is pretty balanced for the most part. I did move Kentucky out of the just happy to be here category. So in case you saw that earlier and you're here now, I did move them out. So calm down, BBN. Yeah. This is my official. Take a screenshot. Make fun of me if you want. This is my tier list. It's late. I got to go to bed. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.